Vincent Reinhart, a former director of the Federal Reserve Board's Division of Monetary Affairs, and Vincent is now a resident scholar at the American Enterprise Institute. Vincent, good to have you with us once again. What did you make of the Fed minutes, and what did you take away exactly?
So there really wasn't a heck of a lot of news in the Fed minutes. If you remember, we've had, of course you do, 2 weeks ago we had a pretty comprehensive leak in the Wall Street Journal that described what happened in the meeting. Then Chairman Bernanke gave his Jackson Hole speech. If he wanted to correct any misimpression from that, he didn't take that opportunity. So pretty much everything that came out in the minutes had already played across the headlines.
Okay, including what the Fed said that they didn't want to signal. Yeah. What did you learn from the minutes besides the Fed saying they don't want to signal to the market that they're into buying these large-scale buying of these mortgage-backed securities again?
It's a split committee, and it's split on both ends. There are some monetary policymakers whose outlook concerns them. It's weaker than it was, and they want to use more stimulative actions. But there's also a good-sized number of them who are concerned about dipping into the quantitative easing toolkit one more time. And so they were, among other things, concerned even about trying to stabilize the portfolio by reinvesting the proceeds of maturing securities. So Chairman Bernanke has a diverse set of policymakers who don't agree about what the next step is.
Okay, and you mentioned some of these Fed officials. They also mentioned that they saw increased downside risks to the outlook for both growth and inflation, and voiced concern that further shocks could actually cause some significant slowing in growth. What does that mean? Does that mean that there's a higher probability of double dip, since we're using this language quite often these days?
Sure. So what it means is the Fed was a little slow in reassessing the outlook. Back in July, when the chairman gave his semi-annual monetary policy report to Congress, he talked about uncertainty. Uncertainty suggests two-sided risks. Well, now they're admitting the risk really is to one side: weaker economic performance, inflation falling down relative to its already low levels. So it's a committee that is worried about the downside now to the economy. What the problem is, they don't have much confidence in what to do if those risks materialize. That is, they're not that confident about the effectiveness of quantitative easing.
And Vincent, 45 seconds here. How confident are you about the global recovery? You were at Jackson Hole, Wyoming, and you heard Jean-Claude Trichet himself saying that the dust looks to be settling at this point. You disagree with that statement?
Well, actually, he was quoting my wife in her presentation of the paper we wrote. Look, I think after severe financial crises, economies grow slowly. The unemployment rate stays high for a while. We're in it for a period of slow growth, not very attractive. Monetary policymakers have to accept that. But perhaps the outlook right now is even weaker than that. They have some room for stimulus, but they got to recognize that the new normal is one in which growth is slower, the unemployment rate is higher.
Okay, Vincent, thanks again for your time. Vincent Reinhart of the American Enterprise Institute.